Hey, we're on.
Okay, thank you for joining us, Regional School District 13 Board of Education Special Meeting of Building Committee, November 5th, 2025, 5 p.m. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't think you're gonna roll call now, right? So it's not the memory. We probably should pull the minutes, for minutes, taker.
Okay, so we'll get roll. Howard Weisberg, Building Committee.
Sydney Leggett, Superintendent.
Lucy Dahlheimer, Board of Ed.
Kim Newbig, Director of Finance.
Lucy Petrola, Board of Ed.
Darren Overton, Building Committee. Bob Moore, Board of Ed.
Jamie Robeck, Board of Ed.
Christine Cowan, Board of Ed.
Eric Correa, Facilities. Building Committee. Dave Gravenzola, Energy Industry.
Rusty Malik, QAM Architects.
Carson Collier, QAM Architecture.
Mark Sedensky, ONG Industries. Excellent. Okay, approval of agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve, Lindsay.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, public comment?
I think she's pretty quiet.
Any comment? Nope. Good. Anybody
Yeah, nobody online.
nobody online? Great. So we will close public comment. Item 4, memorial renovation and expansion. Why don't we start with Mark and then go to Rusty?
And I do have, Dan's not here tonight, but I do have a very brief phase 1 update. with you.
Okay, fantastic.
I've been through it.
Start with that then.
Yep, this is, I'll divvy these up. It's relatively quick as far as status of things. I've been very job of spreading those out, but general things, warranty, as-built, O&Ms, submission is complete. The submittals are under review by Carson and Rusty. And Eric, I guess 2 flash drives are gonna be, you do have them now?
Yep, from yesterday.
You do, okay, great. As far as Ward, the gym divider curtain, it's pending approval of the proposed credit and added cost. So I think there's a PR that we're in the process of going through.
The gym divider curtains, yeah, so
Yeah.
we'll chat about that. Yeah.
Okay, great. And then last is at Lyman, there was heat trace on piping installed below portables 3, 5, and 6. That was done on November 4th. Punch list work is completed with the exception of one item to install some exit signs. Generally, that's going, I think we're close to being able to financially close out that phase of the work. Any questions?
No. That's good.
I just want to mention John Cross has joined us, Building Committee. John, you want to just say your name, not wait?
Yep, Trevor Cross, Building Committee.
Thank you. Okay.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I'm not sure of how you do this order wise, but there is one document. This is AIA change order number 1. That was for the swing space work that includes the PCOs that were approved at the last building committee meeting, PCO 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we do need it signed. So whether you choose to bring it up, vote on it, and then sign it, it's in the order of things something that should be addressed.
Does that need to be voted on by us, or is that? So it was
We already voted on it.
We
Generally, the approval of it
Yeah.
is for the most part administrative because you approve them as a board.
Yeah.
Individually, and this is just a summary of all of those, so it's nothing that really involves a great deal of detail. It's simply an approval of
But it just
the
needs to
AI.
be-
Just a signature by Howard.
Yeah.
And then we'll distribute copies of that once it's fully executed.
Okay, anything else on the swing space? Mark, all your stuff is related to the,
DDS then.
okay, do we want to,
Yeah, we'll go first.
you want to go first? That way we know what he's talking about.
Okay, so good evening, everybody. Just a status update. We've got our dates with the OGA scheduled. So one is 12/10, which would be phase two, which is the demolition and abatement package, including switchgear and generator. And then on January 22nd, we have the phase three, which is the bulk of the building. So those two are scheduled. We have our place. The documentation for the phase two PDs, we're delivering that package to ONG on Monday. So this Friday, we will be 100% complete on that. Do final coordination and deliver the package to ONG. There will be discussion about it because it's a phase project. We will be going over ONG's approach to the demolition because there's certain things that have to be part of phase three that are related to the structure of the building. They're aware of it, and they will, coordinate that document. And then once they're done with the approach, then we will meet and go over it to make sure that there's no miscommunication or something isn't missed. And then we'll put the bid packages together and we'll go to the PCR. So this will also require approval by the local officials. So that's another step that needs to happen before we go to our PCR. We are scheduling an MEP review meeting next week. And that's with the subcommittee that's been formed to review the MEP systems. So that is scheduled for next week. I believe it's on 11/11. Yeah, 11/11.
I'm on that.
I think Kim sent out from noon.
Is that new? Yep,
Yep.
I put you on the invite. You got it.
An update on the roofing. We are moving forward with the Garland roof. The roof on the gym is a flat roof. We are moving forward with that. We actually went forward with that a week plus ago. Because it was very complicated to wait, it would be very difficult. We had to make structural changes and changes in the mechanical systems and so on. And that's pretty much underway. And part of that also impacts our demolition package. So in order to meet this deadline, we had to move forward. But we had mentioned it on several meetings that we had with members of the committee that we were moving forward with that.
After our discussions, all of the aspects into that being the best solution. Also access and storage of mechanicals, I think, just worked out significantly better with this system. And it just simplifies everything long term.
And we did a sightline evaluation as well. And that, so we could determine where some screening could go. It's mainly in the front at the gym where we're looking at putting some screening. And that's not finalized, but we have time to do that as we develop the next phase of the documents, which is where that'll be bid. That's when the bidding will occur on that. So at this point, all our flat roofs will be Garland built up roofs. There are two sections of roof that were put in 2003, I think it is, or 2023. And those have adequate warranty on them, so that will cover us for the 20-year warranty. The one area that was of concern and that we need to get an extended warranty on was the metal roofs that are currently existing. So one of our concerns is making sure we have a commitment from Garland that we were going to get that warranty. And we had a meeting, I think maybe yesterday, and we were assured that before we go to the state, because that's when we need to present that we would have that warranty, language to that effect, which would be adequate. And from what I can gather, that would be adequate to ensure that we are getting a warranty based on that. We're doing a Garland roof as a sole source with an or equal product that will be approved. So before the product is, another product could bid, a person in the firm could bid the job, the similar product, they would have to meet all the criteria of the performance spec that we have for the Garland roof. But it opens it up in the sense that, somebody were to say, this is you're preventing us from bidding on it. We are saying it's more equal, so you can meet the criteria and thereby be, you know, if for whatever reason, if they meet all the criteria, and then we'd be hard pressed to, to reject them, but that's still a decision that the committee would make at that point. So with that, I think we're moving forward, on all the roofs. One item that needs to be addressed is the solar panels. I know that the lease, the lease goes on for some time, so those need to be removed. At this point, as we're addressing it by saying that it would be removed by the owner, but if you feel that you don't have the, and I don't know what the agreement is, if the installer would remove them. But if you're just letting that lease lapse and you're paying that lease off, in a sense, then, and we need to make it part of the project, then we need to know that, that's any possible, so we can,
So,
have that.
so I guess what they're asking is either we're gonna take them off, pay it off, or let it lapse, or take them off and then put them back on again.
Yeah,
Okay.
putting them back on would be the other, whoever does that, later on. There's a fee, I think, for the fact that they're not operating and not producing,
Okay.
power.
You know, when the lease is up.
What's another 10 years there? I think it was like a 25-year lease. It was,
If we decommissioned them during construction, it was roughly $1,200 a month. With the intent to put them back
Yeah.
on. Do we have to take them off if we're not touching the root system there?
I think the key there is gonna be depending on what remediation efforts Garland will require to fix and repair those roofs, essentially at that point. And then I think it's just a coordination effort between O and G about kind of protecting anything they.
But isn't part of that agreement, they have to remain functioning though? Versus being taken offline for a period of time?
So they pay for when it's taken offline for a period of
We're
time.
paying the premium,
Paying it.
$1,200 a month.
Right.
For them to essentially not function, is what you're
Yes.
saying,
Yeah.
okay.
But if it's just a disconnect of the switch rather than fully removing the panels to
Right.
do anything, that could be something we could look into, but I think there are a variety of different kind of parties involved that would have to sign off on all that. So we can definitely continue to look into it, but I think a determination sooner rather than later if the lease is gonna continue or not needs to be made, just as one of those coordination items with
So-
ONG. From the
could I then just put together a couple of details on, what it costs a month, how much is remaining, and then get the building committee's direction on whether they want to put them back on or not?
Right.
I'm confused.
Yeah, I'm probably the same confusion. Go ahead.
So is this just a safety issue to shut the panels down while they're working on the roof? Or do they need to be removed for some reason?
Well, just if they're being decommissioned, you want to take them off, but if they're gonna continue to be used, then it's a matter of protecting them.
I don't think there was any plan to.
Yeah, no, our
decommission them.
goal is to keep everything as is. and
Yeah,
have
the
solar
only,
panels.
the only thing you need to do is if you had a tie-in section where there happens to be. So
But we're
I doubt
not,
that
we're
that-
staying clear away from any.
Yeah.
any
I think you just,
Is that part of Garland not giving us the extended warranty on it, if they don't have a chance to evaluate that?
No, you would meet the solar company, I think we already have, right?
Yes,
And
yeah,
so
we
it's just
talked
a
about
matter of, I think logistically, they probably don't have to be pulled off, better off than not pulling them off, because it would create more problems.
Yeah.
But during the time when they're not functioning, you're gonna have to pay $1,200. And then as soon as you're able to get them back online, you'll be back up and running.
Way to go.
Yeah, I would favor the least amount of work possible, which means keeping them on, decommissioning during construction, and just let's switch back on.
So
So-
we have to.
Are they on right now?
Yes.
We'll get because then they have to be reconnected.
Yeah.
Something wrong to do.
So let's be clear, the ideal situation is we continue with the lease and they stay fully functional without
After the
any,
time period. that
without
we're
any shutdown.
Yeah.
but
Even
if,
part of it, construction, does it have to be decommissioned the entire?
At some point, you're gonna have to turn them off because you're having new electrical service.
Yeah, the other thing is, there's an opportunity here with Eversource. Since we are making the building newer and bigger, I would suggest we meet with Eversource and put together a deal. So because you're gonna be doing LED lighting and so forth, our energy profile might be substantially better here based per square foot. And we might even be able to get incentive out of this.
That would be MEP, that kind of works.
No, this would be owner's rep, so it's gonna help us. I could make the call, however, I do it with UI all the time, so I'm just saying, we should push that a little further and see if there's actually a benefit.
We did meet with Eversource.
Yeah, so just to clarify, as part of the project, we are meeting and looking at the various incentive programs available from the state as part of the education project. So that's already ongoing
Good.
as part of that. So that will include the lighting and everything like that. So that kind of additional credit back kind of for the overall or incentive program in Eversource is being moved forward. The solar panel side, there could be other funding sources that could offer different incentives, but most likely it's going to be more of an expansion rather than kind of the limited system that's currently on Memorial currently. So it's just a matter of what the committee wants to do from a solar footprint standpoint. If they want to expand it, there are opportunities there to maybe renegotiate a lease, but it's a lot of variables in regards to what the board wants to do.
We don't wanna get the project bogged down by
Yeah.
that piece.
Yeah.
We could
So,
certainly
but-
help.
Base, as the base, people leave the panels, they'll be protected, make sure that they're not damaged. They'll be decommissioned when that needs to occur, so they'll keep running as long as you have them going, so you don't pay the fee on it.
Yep.
And then when the switchgear has to be done, or whatever work has to be done, and the power is being changed, then they'll be decommissioned for a period of time and then brought back online. Great.
Yeah, so ideally, there's no disruption, but recognizing there's needs to be some disruption, it's minimized.
Perfect.
Okay, so that's the direction, right?
Yep.
Yeah, all right, good.
And then in terms of local approvals, we've got, response to P and Z comments are due 11/10. So this has all been worked out with Robin, and everybody is aware of the timeline. 11/10 responses to P and Z comments will be provided. 11/17, the minor adjustments based on town planners review, based on the updated responses. And then the meeting is scheduled for 11/24. Approval is anticipated at the meeting, because ideally, and as we've scheduled it, all the comments, et cetera, that have been put forth should be addressed and agreed to before then. So the meeting is just sort of a process to go through. It's not a public hearing, it's just a meeting to look at review the project and also to, get the comments in terms of, yes, they've been addressed, and then move to approve the project. And the ASTA application has been submitted, that's the traffic application. And the CTDPH application has been submitted as well, and engineer has been assigned to the project.
Just backtracking to the post application.
Who said traffic? Who said traffic?
Yeah. Did that get LTA approval yet?
That I'm not aware
No.
What is
That had to
that?
be signed. by the
Local
LTA.
traffic authority?
Yeah.
Oh, no,
Oh,
so that's the email, that's what we're trying to get kind of
I went into the
acknowledgement.
Millville office this week personally to ask them to move it to the top of the list.
Okay, I read through the traffic report.
Mhm.
It was a good traffic report, had everything that was needed in there, had some recommendations, there were no requirements. But, some minor enhancements, at some of the intersections, but in terms of capacity and function, everything was very acceptable.
So did the submission go into OSTA?
When was it submitted?
Yeah.
I think it was.
I want to say probably a week and a half ago at this point, the ASTA submission. I can check and I can forward it to you if you'd like.
So it was the end of October?
Yep.
Yeah. And your anticipation is to have a building permit for phase 3 by January 22nd?
No, January 22nd is our
Oh,
PCR.
that's the PCR.
state review.
Okay.
It's after the state, then we'll get the approval, which we're anticipating is a few weeks after that, and then we'd go out to bid.
And when do you expect to get a building permit to build the new improvements?
We would submit for the building permit as soon as the 100% drawings are signed off. We would submit for the general building permit.
But
Go ahead.
as far as your schedule, when are you expecting to have that in hand?
That's
Well,
when the,
we're-
like December
Once I
19th.
started
that's
construction.
right.
I'm sorry,
Are they able to issue a demolition permit separate from the building permit?
Normally, yes.
I would think so.
Okay. All right, so it's just the, when are we mobilizing for construction?
I have demolition permit. I'm gonna try to submit early December for a demolition permit. A building permit, I have, submission first week of January. And then construction for this schedule, and I think Rusty's said everything correct here. We would start demo and abatement mid February 13th, mobilized abatement and demo March 6th, and then mobilized for site work end of April.
So I still am not sure. When do you need to have an actual building permit?
We need a building permit by April 1st. essentially.
April first?
Yeah, we're sooner.
I'm just trying to understand what the OSTA timeline, because you can't get a building permit till you get OSTA approval.
Correct.
And are we waiting on the signature from the first selectman? Or is they have to review it, OSTA has to review it still and,
We need that email kind of confirmation just based off of it in order for us to even provide
okay,
or
so that will
anything at that
back
point.
us
So that
up
is a
seriously.
component.
Yeah.
Until we get that, we won't be getting any
Yeah.
sort of formal sign off from them. So
Yeah,
that's why we're
so-
trying to push that and.
And
anything
then
we can do.
those two, separate from that, the review, the third party reviewers
Third party reviewers are kind of independent from,
from this, but
Kind
I'm
of,
just,
yeah.
I guess what just the point I'm trying to make is we're trying to go fast and, you know, get and we're getting roadblocks at
yeah.
the town hall in Millfield.
Yeah.
Did
So
you
the
get
third-
the drainage sign off from the town engineer? For the OSTA permit? You need an LTA and a drainage sign.
There was some testing that was going to.
Tomorrow.
You're not on a state road, so I assume there was a drainage exemption form that was submitted with OSTA.
I'd have to check the application.
Usually what they require is an email or documentation from the town engineer that there's no drainage problems in the area.
Correct. So that's part of the acknowledgement that I know from the email standpoint, that's one of the line items that we need acknowledgement from the town. So
Okay,
it's working with Bob to get that. So that in addition to the traffic kind of component to it, the OSTA requires that those are the two statements we need from the municipality.
Right, there's two separate components, could be two different people that sign off on it.
Yeah.
Is that still in process?
So yeah, so those are the two items that we're looking to track down from the municipality standpoint. So again, anyone on this board, I know Kim and Sydney have been working to try to get that moving forward. And it's been about 3 weeks since we've requested that with the information that we've had. So that's kind of where things are currently at.
Yeah, so that's the frustration, like, you know, we're being held up in areas that are just, don't need to
So
be held up in.
That shouldn't hold up there should be an ongoing OSTA review since they submitted. Those two sign offs should not be holding up the review, but OSTA will not issue the approval
It's
without
The
the
approval,
approval.
yes. I think it is.
So I think we're okay on timing still, but
Okay. All right,
it'd be
good.
nice to get those behind us.
Check them off.
It's just frustrating not ever getting any responses back or anything, you guys, you know.
Understood.
I mean, we all know that we're gonna need the third party review comments on this package. Even though there's not a lot to it, it's demo and abatement, so the sign off from the building official, the fire marshal and the health department are still required. And then we have notified them that the third party peer structural review. Now, it needs to occur also, so that needs to be part of this process.
And nothing back on that, you don't know who they're choosing.
We haven't seen any updated proposals or anything like that. So I reached out to the local building official last week just to kind of put another bug in his ear about the peer review for structural. Gave him a couple recommendations of individuals our team has worked with in the past for school projects like this. I think his question was funding. How is it being paid for? Anything at that point. So we've clarified that since at that point, but I haven't heard any updates since last week. In regards to that.
Can
There
you
might be a
send
couple
us
people
that
from the committee
email?
go And sit down with the town, like, a few of us, you know, have connections in Middlefield, we should be sitting down just to.
I have to wonder, you know, we haven't had projects of this sort really forever. And we also have the firehouse going on, so maybe it is a little much for them right now. I can certainly talk with people, yeah.
Yeah.
That was also the reason for them using the fees to hire somebody so that there wouldn't, wouldn't be all this like hiring an individual to take on the extra load, because there is legitimately the extra load now.
If you could send us that email, please, where you suggested a few and that we
That was,
can
yeah, 3, yeah.
follow up with that.
We did that with the third party review for the state as well as the
Happy to join, follow up with Bob on that. Happy to join you on a follow-up.
I mean, it's all new. I didn't realize it was being held up.
And that's what we had. Any questions?
Two things on the site plan, I know that we were, looking at, and I guess they've been addressed or are being addressed. The drainage issues, the lower field, I believe that's now, I haven't gone through the, updated site plans. Drainage is no longer a point discharge and it's, sheet flowing now across the field. Is that right? Do you remember?
No, Jacobson did raise that as an issue, that there's still a point discharge on private property and then easement may be needed. So I don't think that's resolved yet.
Okay, that's good.
I'm not sure how that's being addressed.
Okay. And then the,
Dating,
There's still an easement though, from the conversation I had with Brian today, that I guess sidebar conversation. So just pretty much what you just mentioned, that still needs to get resolved.
yeah, so the easement is challenging for the adjacent properties.
Yep.
Because they're, the way that property is. And then the other is the grinder pump. And whether or not that issue has been, resolved.
Offhand, I do not know, so I can follow up on that particular item.
I thought it was resolved that there was this gravity,
Gravity fed.
talk about gravity, yeah.
Have you seen an update on it?
I had her.
Okay. Yeah, we just like to,
That's what we talked about.
that we can
Yeah.
take those because we really don't wanna. Grind the pump. Those are the only other two, those are the two big ones, right? I think everything else was.
Yes.
So what I may end up doing, I'll reach out to the Nash, just kind of getting a status update. I'll kind of keep you two in the loop in regards to that, at that point, just because I know you guys have had some conversations as well on site with neighbors and stuff like that, just so we're all working towards the same end goal there.
Yeah, there is a portion of the parking lot that could be redirected, we believe, into the existing drainage system so that there's even less that has to go through. And then obviously what does happen with the abandonment of the existing leach field, whether or not there's opportunity to turn that into, some sort of infiltration. So, all right, that would be great. Anything else? You know, because the other issue I wanted to just kind of go back in time on, when we had originally designed the structure, and a lot of it's just trying to recall what we had discussed, because I remember we discussed it. We had that flex space that was created when we went straight up as opposed to a first floor setback to the second floor. There was really no purpose for that space. It was just, well, we got extra space. We don't know what we're gonna do with yet. Over time and through some value engineering, we realized that we didn't need as much space for other activities, but we also went above the minimum sizing for some of the classrooms. So what we're doing is just trying to remember, and this was the reason for all the emails this past week, what became of that extra space, and as it relates to potentially future pre-K type needs, because that was one of the things, if we expand, maybe we have this little extra space, which probably is gonna be enough for full-time pre-K anyway, but just trying to recall what happened with it, and then what would be our game plan moving forward.
So that space, I mean, when we were going through the SD estimate, we were over budget and we had to cut, and the program had grown. So from the original budget, the program had grown, and that was identified during the SD estimate phase. And we had a target number that we had to achieve in terms of reducing the building area by. So, the thought of having that space, that was one of the areas, because the required programs have to be, we couldn't do anything with them. We, massaged them somewhat to gain some efficiency. We tried to get additional efficiency out in the community and the corridor system. So that we did that. And then the final part of that, was to get us back to where we needed to be, was to really square out the building and use that second floor space. So actually we shrank the footprint a little bit in order to make that space. That couldn't have been used for pre-K because it's on the second floor.
We had to reconfigure all sorts of.
We have to do all the space. So I mean, the program itself is based on the highest enrollment projection. So I think one of the things that we've looked at is that there are gonna be several rooms that are going to be above and beyond it until you get to that enrollment projection. And ultimately, one of the areas that we had shown an addition going on to is through the stairwell going north, anticipating a small addition there.
Okay.
Because
I remember that too, that
Right.
we had discussed locations for how additions can fit on.
Right.
I just didn't recall the resolution for that discussion.
I mean, we don't show it, but because we looked at expansion at the pre-K area, and we looked at expansion at the other side as well towards the fields. And that's still a possibility to add, two classrooms on 2 levels, so 4
Okay.
classrooms, as well as the north side of the building.
Right, and then there's obviously, other spaces elsewhere that can always be evaluated, but yeah, I remembered we'd had a discussion and I just trying to recall all of the steps involved, because I knew that there was a reduction, but it was mostly because we had gained some efficiencies.
Right.
Okay, great, no, I appreciate it. Anybody have any, I know there was a lot of, chatter about this. Anybody have any other questions, concerns? How long of a window do we anticipate before that could be an issue?
It's a
You were there
5-year,
for
it's,
pre-K?
it's a 5-year plan with the governor, so he just started working on it, just started putting together the committee. So I have one person personally from my organization that's on that committee. So, but it's gonna be like I don't even know if at the end of 5 years, like it's truly gonna be like every district, I mean, I think that's like obviously like a huge lift, but I think it will be like more like you have to reach certain targets each year. That seems to be his trend thus far.
And obviously, there's gonna have to be financial support to allow,
Exactly.
to allow
Yeah,
infrastructure
like,
programs to
that's
adapt.
kind of-
We're
Yeah.
likely to see more pilot programs, and pilot programs expanded in certain areas or expanded in like a rural district. There's a certain amount in a rural district, certain amount in urban, so they can test and pilot them. So you're looking at maybe even 7 years.
Right, yeah, it would be irresponsible for us to try and, build 8 years down the future
It
here.
doesn't mean we
But
can't get ahead of it.
no, and that's what I really wanted to do. I just wanted to make sure that we at least kept aware of it.
We're not boxed in.
Yeah, exactly. And it sounds like we really thought that through in terms of if this were to happen, we have a way to make it work.
Yeah, I mean, we have another district that we're working with a pre-K center, so they've got, we're doing a whole building just for pre-K.
Mhm.
But it's a much larger population, over 200. I don't know if ultimately it'll be a semi-mandate to have all kids available for all kids, but that'll put you don't even know what that full implications of those, that is, but at that point, you may find that you're better off building building a like Brewster almost, to be a pre-K center.
Mhm.
It could be the largest unfunded mandate for these urban districts, so if they don't start thinking about it now, I don't know what they'll do, but.
Great, no, I appreciate that. Like I said, I just wanted to make sure we all were on the same page with what was there. So great, thank you. Anything else? I think that's.
I know I had sent an email to Sydney and Bob and Howie, and we haven't talked about it, I didn't think at a building level, but parents that have been thinking about the building and in ways that we're keeping certain parts of the building alive, like when you walk in the memorial, that mosaic that's there, that's the Mustang. It would be good if we could communicate how things are gonna be incorporated,
Yeah.
either in design or just in keeping them safe and figuring out a place for them later, because
So
There's a
we're
lot of
trying to
work
accommodate
that would
all of them in the building, so we're trying to designate spaces that'll be removed and then reinstalled. So for instance, we don't know what the mascot's gonna be, but one idea as you came into the main lobby area, we had designated a location for the Mustang to go right there. That may not happen because it may be a completely different mascot, and then we find a different location for that mosaic to go. But there's 4 of them that we're aware of and that are going to be located in certain parts of the building.
So are there salvage items that are part of the phase 2 documents?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so we're
those have to be
identifying that,
bounded.
that's where they have to be identified,
Right.
right, to make sure that nothing
Yes,
gets.
because that's what's coming up.
That's
And
the
I-
opportunity.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what phase it went into or where it went, but I just.
Yeah, and I think that's something too, Eric, we've had some brief conversations on, are those particular items something that you would rather kind of house, take down yourself, or would you want that kind of stored with ONG or having someone else take them down?
Yeah, I mean, no preference. I just, if you're gonna incorporate it in the design, I'd rather keep them at Memorial, maybe in the media center.
Yeah, the only tricky thing is if we have them taken out by a phase two contractor.
Right.
Then it gets, you then have to then do the whole thing of assigning it to phase three contractor and it's.
Or,
I mean, the most cost effective thing, if it's within your means.
Yeah.
For you to remove those things that are important, we can arrange for somewhere to store them on the property, but I would say
Okay.
it's more advantageous from a cost standpoint if.
And then we can just own the installation as part of the base
We
contract.
could, if
for
we
phase
inventory,
three
right,
at that
we
point,
inventory
yeah.
what those items are, and we tell whoever the trade is in phase three, you are going to reinstall these at a location of the owner's choice, and then list them, and then they carry it.
Okay.
Will be a lot of happy kids. It was a lot of work.
All right, any questions from the building committee for Rusty and Carson or?
Are we gonna talk about the DD estimate at all tonight? Or are we gonna save that for a subcommittee meeting?
That's
It's next.
okay. Next.
Can I ask a question on the tree? I know we got the word from the tree. Warden, Marshall. So I guess these guys need to know what we're gonna do with the tree in that courtyard, right?
Eric, you want to give a little?
Yeah, Middlefield Tree Warden came out, Bruce, thanks Darren for the contact. He basically said he thinks both of them were struck by lightning at one point, there's evidence of that. He feels that if we're gonna do any excavation in that area and the point that we're gonna box that courtyard in, we're kind of doing those trees at disservice at this point. They're creating a heat sink in there, it's gonna be hotter for them. There's signs of stress right now on those trees. So obviously, nobody wants to say, remove the trees, but it kind of sounds like right tree,
Remove the
wrong
tree, yeah.
location.
But also he determined it wasn't
Not
from the charter oak, which was something, so it is not.
There was no
Not a
historical
descendant.
significance to those trees.
No, no.
So,
So were we able to get his observations in writing so we can document them for the project?
No, I don't have an email for Bruce. I could call him and see if he can write something up.
Just observations. We're not asking him to provide an opinion or
Sure.
Great.
just great that he was willing to do that.
So I believe that's the direction.
Yeah. Once we saw those emails kind of come through, we figured, I think the general feeling was that it's probably better off long-term to have them kind of removed. So we've had our,
We were looking at roots, we were looking at issues
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
actual.
yeah, so we proceeded with kind of the planned removal at that
Right,
point.
we'll figure out something else complicated for Eric to have to. deal
That's
with that.
fine.
You're actually wanting something documented on paper, like what his observations were.
So there was, I think there were opinions that the trees should be saved. So we had a licensed arborist go look at it. Thankfully, a town member of Middlefield
Right.
is a licensed arborist, the tree warden. He was willing to come out and look at them with Eric. He provided some observations that basically the conclusion is that for the application of what we're doing for the proposed project, it's not good for them. They're not likely to survive. So the best approach would likely to be to remove them. So I just wanted to have those observations in the file in case somebody raises an issue later. So I guess I'll ask the question here. Is there anybody here that feels strongly that we should try to save those trees? So I think that's the approach, is that we're gonna remove them. I just want to have that documentation in the file in case we have to go back to it.
The only question I would have is, were they planted for any memorial reasons that anybody knows the history? Or
think
were
you
they
just said
just
they
there
were-
before?
They weren't, it wasn't historical.
There's
And there's no
nothing,
identified
nothing
markers
attached to them.
that we've seen at the base or anything like that that's been observed, so.
Right, any other questions for Rusty or Carson before Mark gives us all the good news?
No, thank you.
All right, Mark, it's yours. Thank you, Rusty. Thank you, Carson. I'll pass those down.
So what I'm handing out is a summary. We do have a full estimate, which is many, many pages, which I don't know if I've sent it out to the group yet. The email about that, but I certainly will. So we, as part of this pre-construction process, we received design development documents back in September, end of October. Our estimating team put together a full estimate. We were completed around the second week of October. Over the next couple of weeks, we went back and forth with the design team, members of the committee, town, and discussed different options and ways to get the budget. So just on the first page, you've seen this before, but I'll just go over it quickly. It's a high level summary, but you have your phase one, those are your actual costs of your trade contractor. Item number 2 is site work, which is the phase 2 site work. This next phase, abatement and demo, everything gets summarized on the first sheet. So you have your construction costs, reimbursables, and these are items that we know about now. Item number 7 is O&G's contract. Under contingency, on the first page, design and estimating contingency. Since the documents are still in development, I think at the schematic, we probably had 5 or 6%. We've now reduced that to 3.5% as the documents have become more detailed. The goal is by the time we go to construction, here it'll be a little bit different because we're going to do a CD estimate on 90% documents, but that design contingency is going to be probably 1%, 0.5% when we complete the next phase of estimates. We have escalation figured in here and LNG CM contingency, our CM fees, bonds and insurance, which are all contractual requirements. They're based upon the cost of the work. And those will, change up or down based upon. So we have total estimated construction costs on the first page, for phase 1, 2, and fall phase 3. 68,843. On the next page, page 2 is your soft costs. These are your owner's costs. Going back and forth with Kim and Rusty and other people, I think we probably have the owner's cost at a pretty good, wouldn't say conservative, but I wouldn't say liberal at this point. I think they're pretty fair. Actuals that we know about are in here. Other line items are plug line items for things, that we basically know what the cost is. In there, you see your playgrounds at the bottom, number 27, 375,000. We're carrying that in the budget. Your owner's contingency, you have a soft cost contingency for things that come up that maybe we didn't know about or no one knows about, land use approvals. So and you end up with about 10 million, 10.9 in owner soft costs. Gives you total estimated project budget at DD of 79 million. So when we first started this and dropped it, we came in 3.6 million over. If you go to the last page, these are value management suggestions that LNG suggested, the architect suggested, various members of the team suggested. We've gone through and we've priced those for the information that we have now. And you'll see, and I can go over, I'll go down each one, but starting with site work like S01, and I can pull up a picture of that if you need to see it. For the fire lane, our site work estimators identified, hey, you can save You know, you can save $215,000 if you go from, concrete to bituminous paving along this, you know, along this area. We've listed it as accepted because it's been discussed with the architect, but obviously it requires your approval moving forward. Most of these do. There's some that I think we've discussed previously, like, barrel roofs and things like that, and the flat roofs that are listed on here as well, because they were in the DD documents. But we've taken a savings, you know, based upon an estimate at this point. So bottom line, if you go with the accepted alternates, and I can go down each one. There's a column called add alternate, which would be, you would set aside, an alternate in the bid. So the base bid would be X, or the base bid would be this, and they'd give back the credit for the alternate. If you take both of those columns accepted and then add alternates at bid time, you're about $350,000 under budget at this point.
Nice job.
Which is where we want to be. That we're actually, that's slightly ahead. So I'm very happy we're at that number. I would normally expect us to be a couple % over at this stage. So for the team to get it down to that that's good work. Nice job.
Nicely done.
So SO2, I got a question. You're reducing the thickness of the HD and LD paving. Would that reduction still be consistent with the recommendations in the geotechnical report for paving?
So we've discussed them and we're forwarding that information to the geotech and to the civil engineer. We haven't got their feedback on that.
So you're looking for the geotech to okay that reduction? Okay.
HD and LD are referring to which areas?
I think we did the pilings.
Pilings and or bus lanes.
Okay.
So it would have been the loop around the back, the loop around the backside, and I actually have here, I can show it to you. I can't show it to the group.
If you send it to me, I can put it up for everybody.
And a bunch of them. I have a whole bunch of actual PDFs. But that would be in yellow here,
Okay, yeah, that's just the,
the loop around the back.
it's the loop around the backside, that's fine.
Yeah.
Now, something that we can also consider in O and G can as
Kind of a
well.
walking path more than.
We're using, because a lot of the parking lot is now in an area where we've had existing parking lot. And full depth reclamation is, could be a possible solution on the parking lot too, which could save you possibly half that cost. Doing a full depth reclamation on the areas that are already paved.
So what we did on Pickett,
It's very similar to what we did on Pickett.
Yeah, as long as we think the base is good.
Yeah, and obviously that parking lot's been there forever, so it's,
Issues.
It
may be good.
yeah, it may be a very good location where you can do some reclamation on there.
this value management, I know it's at the bottom if we're gonna go through it, but this would be moving all the sinks out of third, fourth and fifth.
No, that one we put as an add alternate. Actually, that is, so talking to our estimator this afternoon before I came here, we're going over this list and going over certain items, and I actually questioned that number. The sinks, fourth, fifth, and sixth grade, it's actually to delete 16 sinks, but it's the sinks only. And I said, yeah, this $30,000 doesn't make sense. I said, what's the full cost? So the full cost to delete that with the plumbing and the piping is about $140,000. So I knew that would come up tonight. So I do that 32,000 credit is really about $140,000 if you did delete all those sinks. I think right now you have 50 sinks.
Are they in there now though? So this would just be if we remove them for the VE?
This would be if you remove them for the fee.
Right.
Yeah, you have about 50 sinks now. That would be deleting 16 sinks. That would save you, about 140,000.
I do just want to say about the sinks, to the committee that I'm hearing more and more about the sinks. Not just about like the convenience of hand washing or anything, but in terms of its effect on science curriculum. So since we don't have labs in 3, 4, 5, being able to actually like have the kind of science curriculum that teachers
And then some of our community partners are interested in the sinks are becoming a little bit of a louder priority right now.
Mark, I gotta run in 5 minutes, but I just had a couple of questions on the exclusions. In the estimate, remove or replace unsuitable material, I can understand why that's excluded, but are we including an allowance or a unit price for that? In case we run into that with excavation for the new foundation or any other excavation work on the site?
I normally, and I don't know what page you're on, sorry.
It's 38 is where the exclusions are.
Yeah, we would definitely want,
But normally, and I don't know if she was here, okay, the 38.
We may have to get back to some of these, Darren, so if we want to go just in the essence of time. So it's unsuitable soils and did we replace that exclusion with an allowance somewhere, right?
Yeah,
We'll get back to you on that.
okay.
and if when we put the contract out, we wanna probably have a unit price in there.
No, well, anything that is allowance based, we're required to have unit prices on.
It's being bid as a classified or unclassified site.
I would say based upon the geotech at this time, I would say classified.
Okay.
Well,
Because we have rock excavation in the exclusions as well. I assume same thing, unit price and allowance or something. We know we have rock out there based on the borings.
Right.
Yep.
And then irrigation was excluded, but there actually is a price for that included.
Yeah. It's probably in that.
That's all right. Yeah, so we are including some irrigation in the pricing of it. And then I heard tonight we do have Garland roofing in the project, but that was an exclusion.
It's so that.
This came before this
This
decision.
estimate that you have is not based on Garland. The Garland movement product.
So this came before that change in the design, I assume?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, the DD documents are based on.
But does this have the structural in it then? Or no?
No, is that all? That's not in the DD documents. It's the structural part of it, correct me if I'm wrong, Carson, but that's one of the VM items is changing.
The structural part is listed in the VM,
Right.
Yeah.
but the Garland is not.
Okay.
And we know that there's a cost to the Garland, and that's gonna be taken into account into the CD documents.
Okay,
When
no worries.
when are we getting the independence, like the next phase or that's, when is that gonna be?
The next phase.
Yeah,
Can I just,
because the reason I say that is, I think we're in a really good position. I didn't want to waste it on this, because sometimes when you do an independent too early, there's nothing really to get down to. So I'm glad we're gonna do it in the next phase.
this is just my own opinion. I know that it's not happening at the same time, but I do think that there's some merit to doing it now because say there's something that we missed or something, right?
It's your estimate.
I know, but my point is that we are asking Rusty's team to move forward with things that are taking things away from the project. Right? And if there's an opportunity now to get that second set of eyes and their perspective on what this costs, if that ends up yielding that we think that we may be in a slightly better position and we don't have to take all $3-some-odd million. Just saying, by the time we get to see these, it's really too late to put any of these things back that we're talking about taking out. That's my.
No, I understand that. I would agree with you if it looked like our numbers are, I'm not against it. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
that's why I'm asking.
Yeah,
When
that's a
we
good question.
plan on it, you guys probably should make that decision. If you're comfortable with this number, then we do it then. If not, I think you need it now, then maybe we do it now.
If we're gonna do it, I agree with David, do it as early as possible because at 50% CD is gonna be the way.
So I talked to our chief estimator last night, Dave, and I didn't get a chance to talk to you about it, but.
So let's do it here in the public instead.
I meant to send Rusty a note today, and our chief estimator said if your independent person, because really kind of the risk, since the independent wasn't done at DD, the risk is more on you. If your guy or girl can say perform it in the next 2 weeks, it would probably be a benefit. After that,
I would recommend we get it done at the most advantageous time, whatever that is. You guys decide.
one of the things, not, because what happened is our estimator ended up, not, there was miscommunication, he couldn't do the job, I had to scramble to find a different estimator, so I couldn't get the DD estimate done. The estimator that we had did, say to me that they could do just an overview and review of the estimate, just to confirm and make sure that there's nothing glaring that's wrong with this estimate, just because of the timing of it. Because I brought this up several weeks ago and we were debating whether it's worth it or not worth it. So if people think that it's worth it, I'll certainly have them take a look at the documents and.
Well, I think it would be helpful, again, as long as they have the detail. The issue we have is the stuff that gets you, in my experience, that could cost you a lot of money is the stuff you didn't think about. And then once you, get the design done, you're like, oh crap, you're right. You hope to get that beforehand, but my experience is the estimator doesn't find it either. So, you're better off spending more money trying to, when they got it designed, because architects are known to sneak a few things in there and talk about either, right? So I
Never.
Just for the betterment of the project.
so maybe Andrew, maybe that's a good idea. We do a general look at it and then get the details. It's up to you guys.
It's really, I mean, it's really not it's not our assignment, right?
No.
Usually, it's.
But it is your estimate.
No, it's all right.
Comfortable with it.
Well, I guess the question is just that you feel comfortable with someone just taking our estimate. Thank you all. As the basis and forming an opinion versus doing their own independent review of those documents. Because to your point, if we missed something, and I'm not saying we did, we are very good at what we do, but if we missed it, it's never gonna show up in what they're reviewing, so it's automatically gonna get missed by them, because if it doesn't exist in ours, so.
Yeah, no,
that's the only-
listen, I think everybody's looked at the estimate. If we thought it was a terrible estimate, we would let you know.
I'm sure last
Sure.
No, we love feedback.
Yeah, so it is tough, but the bottom line is we have to have the right number once we get this thing designed. That's to me more important. I don't think there's glaring problems here, but to me, maybe if we can have them do a summary look at this estimate and then do the deep dive. I think it's not a particularly complicated job. Like,
I think you do that in the 2-week period. If you're trying to do.
if
a
we're trying to
full-blown
get these
estimate.
drawings done and move on,
Well,
so.
I'm not saying that this is something that would be done as a milestone before they continue, that the option to stop is really not,
Right,
you don't have that right now.
we know, yeah, and that's kind of what I'm saying too. So,
And you sparked a great conversation. It's really, again, we know there's a lot of volatility out there. The last thing that any of us want to do is have you make a bunch of decisions to take things away from the project that you like. To then find ourselves here later on saying, well, we have an extra month.
No,
We know there's
I think,
volatility in the bid market, but.
I think the volatility took place during these conversations of VE, right? I think we were all working those very, very hard. I think everybody participated in that. And I think other than the things, which I think we could probably work on, if there's other things in there we don't know about, I don't think there's anything else glaring out there that would hurt us in the design. So I would say do a summary and then let's get a really good one for the next phase. That would be my, I would like to hear from you guys.
I'm Marnie. I'm your new STV owner's rep person. When it gets to my turn, I'll tell you a little bit more about me, but I just wanted to chime in on this. I think it's based on the time frame that Rusty's estimator could do an estimate. I don't think it's beneficial primarily because you're carrying $3 million right now of contingencies. However, I started to think a little bit about this, and I think what would be most value would be if Rusty could get somebody to get us an estimate for the garden roof, so that we can see now how that's going to affect.
Well, I think we can get an estimate right from Garland and the contract.
Well, yeah, I mean,
That'll be
whether
better.
O&G gets it or we use some of the money Rusty has allocated to get an independent estimate, I think it would be helpful to know how that impacts where we are today, not a little earlier than waiting till CD.
Because you're making your value engineering decisions now, with the spreadsheets in front of you, we've already had a lot of discussions about it. I understand the volatility of the market, and I agree with Dave's point, but, to have an independent estimate done, the most valuable time would have been during DD. Because you're making these value engineering decisions, and we do feel that the estimate is healthy, it's conservative, there's some room in there. The value engineering exercise worked great. Yeah, well, that's our thought.
I think we're in the process of getting the numbers on the Garland Group anyway. And so we'll have it
To be clear,
before.
that's a
the
reduction, because we're cheap, we're, Garland is more, Garland is less.
It's gonna be higher.
Well, it's gonna be less than the original roof.
Right.
Yes.
That's not the metal.
Roof either. I bet
No.
it's gonna be.
And your numbers don't show that. Your estimate doesn't show that. So the number, the fact that we went to a flat roof is where we're getting savings.
Okay.
Yes, well, there'll be an incremental cost of material. Yeah, probably, but it's not gonna,
Do we
it's
think
not
it'll
anything
be a
that's gonna
wash?
damage this estimate. We are positioned well right here. This is actually unusual.
It might come out of the design contingency.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't, and there's still, to your guys' point, we know that nothing against ONG, they're not gonna put an estimate out that isn't conservative at this stage. You would be foolish to do that. We know that there's money in here. And the VEs, we didn't, I mean, these things aren't, other than the sinks that we've heard, which we think we could probably work around. There's nothing in here that's dramatic in my opinion. So I think we're positioned very well from the budget. I would love to just see Rusty's group and everybody push this thing along. And then we can start the estimate, when we have a little more detail on it, because that's really where we can fine tune things. Frankly, to add in wall tile is not a big deal. If we come across all kinds of one wall tile back in, that's just words on a bid, right? That's a simple thing to do.
Yeah, no,
you have
a
talking-
good tile.
Right, we're talking major structure issues, could be a different type of heating and ventilation system, but we haven't even talked about. Anything that we've eliminated in here, other than the barrel roof, potentially could be added back. Potentially without that much difficulty. I don't see a lot of that happening. I'd like to spend most of the time getting this thing designed. We're kind of behind schedule. We keep forgetting about that. We gotta get this thing forward and get a good estimate at the end of the next set of drawings, so we know exactly where we are going into the bidding, which is where we want to be. This is my opinion.
All right, any other thoughts on that? I'm kind of in line with where John is, sounds like, and you guys are as well, so.
QAM's gonna be putting these value engineering changes into their documents now, they're not stopping, to John's point, we gotta keep going.
Okay. Great, sounds like a decent direction then.
And just to confirm that the value engineering, Rusty, please agree or disagree, is gonna be reflected in the drawing as alternate. So it's not like you're making a decision right now to take this. If the bids come in low and you can keep everything the way it's shown and no value engineering, that's even better.
I thought we were gonna do it the opposite.
No, there are some things that are not,
Not-
there are some things that were candidates for alternate, but there are others that they have been accepted, that they are, like the whole thing with the
Like the-
structure. They're gone.
So the ones listed in the accepted column, Rusty and team are assuming that
Doing them, yeah.
you're gonna do.
Number in a CD set.
Right. And that's what we can discuss them if there's any.
But God forbid everything comes in really, really low and said, hey, you know what, we have money, we can afford to change the tile. Yeah, we-
Right, but that's easy. The structurals, so for example, let's just talk about this thing. So Greg and I think the same way. I'd rather have the base bid with the things in them and then with the deduct, because you basically, you can get the sink for free. Because you're bidding the whole plumbing job. You always want to bid the job you want and deduct what you may not want. You don't want to do it the other way around because you get, you're gonna ask for a credit to take the sinks out, you're not gonna get anything. Right? So always bid.
They'll put a big number on
Right.
that.
Right, exactly. So we think the same way that way.
The sinks are what are the sinks?
That's this one right
Yeah.
here.
So we want to show the base.
Yeah.
Well, right, the number's wrong, but it's still, the way it's in there as an alternate is correct, because the preference is to do them as deduct alternates. It's still,
Yes,
it's
yeah,
still competitively bid. So
correct.
they're gonna be drawn in and identified.
Yes.
But you have a competitively bid reduction in scope rather than, you take it out the day after bid, there's already like a 20%
Correct.
swing
Yeah.
on that scope of work.
Correct.
So,
So I think we're
okay.
in good shape there.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure that everyone is clear on the things that are simply not going to be present in QA and documents versus what will be optional as an alternate. So,
Do we, is there an advantage to having the sinks as a deduct alternate or whatever, if we think we're gonna want them? Because
Yes.
So
Yeah, that's
Okay.
that's how we're,
Because you
that's
can
what we're
just
saying.
ignore it.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah, that's-
We're hoping actually, if we did it with them in there, we can afford them. That's what we're hoping.
well, also, but my thought was if they're non-negotiable, like we want them anyways.
Well, they're gonna be, yeah, to answer your question is we would not exercise, we would take a deduct from something else.
Exactly, okay.
Or you.
Just didn't even know if it had to appear here, if we felt that strongly about it.
If the job's over budget.
Perfect.
Right.
Just
We don't
vote it
want to
on
go on
paper,
budget.
but if not, you would just deduct.
But
for
the
somewhere else.
committee's always gonna help. If you guys say we want these, it's our job to somehow help you find, get them in.
but I think but the thing with that is if the sinks are a non-starter for you, then why waste QA and M's
That's what I
time?
was thinking.
Design
Exactly.
documentation,
Say.
just
My opinion is.
say it's
a
not on the
complete Non-starter.
it's rejected, they're in, and the cost of them is the cost of them.
Yeah.
Let's.
And it's
let's-
not that much when you think about it.
Truly, so much of that whole, outdoor ed curriculum relies on the sinks. And I think that's where it's coming from on the science component, like, and if we're, as a board, if you're gonna come forward and bring a lot of that outdoor ed curriculum, you really can't do it without those things.
Yeah, I just don't think they should be, I don't think they should be debated at this point.
Really, for
That's my opinion.
140,000 and a 76 million, like,
Yeah.
it's too small to fight.
If that is, our job is to deliver,
Education,
program.
learning, curriculum.
if this is part of the program that you're telling us has to be part of the program,
Yeah.
then it's part of the program. So let's remove all these things from the alternate.
Off the list.
Do you guys agree with that, though? I mean, I don't wanna.
Yeah.
That's your, if you guys tell us that,
Yeah.
what you need.
Yeah, we'll
it's gotta be-
find other places to
Okay.
address it.
Yeah.
But if it's a required part of the program, then it is.
Yeah, I think it's important.
Yeah,
Great.
I think so
Okay.
too. The only other one that worries me from the learning perspective is any noise difference in changing that canopy in the cafeteria.
The sound absorbing, I
Yeah.
had the same thing, that cafeteria is gonna be really loud.
It will be.
I don't think you wanna.
We were not in agreement on that.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
Russ.
Yeah, I
please
think
put
most
whatever
people agree
is
with
the
that.
most noise canceling thing.
Yep.
you can
Yeah,
find
I-
in there.
Definitely,
So
again,
are we, I think that
20,000,
went out as a,
Small,
Yeah, 8 is gone,
yeah,
And,
and
consideration, MO2 is gone, consideration. And
not a chance.
I know the clowns.
I'll be respectful of time, but
Every
you
time.
wanna go down the list or just?
Yeah, let's do that quickly. And just, understanding, when is something going from pending to accepted? What's that process?
Tonight,
Okay, go ahead. Roll through.
tonight, so, Dr. Leggett, I did send you a
You want me to pull
PDF.
things up if people aren't visual?
If one, so SO1 was fire lane confirmation, concrete, 2x2 paving. I think.
And that's only along the back end.
It's along the back end.
Yeah,
but
that's
Dr.
okay.
Dr. If you did get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no issue with that.
Are they all, is there any, there's 4 in here.
Yeah, maybe one called SO1
That's okay. I have an S1.
or S1.
Yeah.
Rest of the time.
Some of those like ones, windows that are in the all construction work could be value engineering, like.
Yeah.
Well, that's coming up.
Yeah, all of these.
Okay, so I don't know if you can zoom in, but
Where do you want?
so that back line, I actually highlighted it. So it's really this here. Which would be. By 2 minutes.
Yep. Yeah.
That was pretty.
Makes sense. Yeah, that's good every day.
So SO2 was to decrease the thickness of the high and low density paving. And,
I think we just have to.
Yeah.
Staff for that.
and it has to be reviewed by the engineer.
Yeah, that's fine.
There's those visuals if anybody wants.
But yeah, I kind of, on the left-hand side, you can see like a little red line around the two pavement sections. And then what I did was I actually snipped from our estimator. Which I'll send to Rusty and team. It just, it goes from, we're reducing the subbase, the process, the paving from 4 to say 3 inches. So that'll be reviewed by the engineer. But to me, it's a pretty easy add alternate for you guys to put on the drawings. Or deduct alternate, rather.
But we want to be certain from the engineer that it's an acceptable.
Yeah.
Correct.
SO3 is colored concrete in lieu of pavers. I didn't get all the areas.
I would personally rather just use colored concrete. Texture wise, it's safer. It's not as slick. It's not going to displace. It becomes a zero maintenance item and it's safer in the day.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like it. I like,
And I don't know if I grabbed all the areas.
Would you call that a stamped? It would be a stamped concrete, colored stamped concrete?
I think that's.
But I
what
think the
we
plan would be
talked
a stamped colored
Yeah,
concrete,
absolutely.
so it would be outdoor dining and then probably internal courtyard for any
Yes,
part. Internal courtyard.
The goal is minimize minimize the pattern for ADA acceptability.
Yeah.
The smaller, the less irregular the pattern, the better it is. I honestly don't even mind just, 3 by 3, just form everything to 3 by 3 blocks and not even worry about it. Just small concrete is, my opinion, easier to deal with, and if there's an issue, it's easier to repair than a stamp.
So are we good just accepting
I would-
that and not making it an alternate?
My vote would be accept, but
I agree.
okay, great.
Definitely.
I'm sorry, reduce the plantings. And again, I don't have a sketch for that, but it was really, hey, take the plantings on the drawings and reduce them by 50%.
Is there a minimum requirement that we have to have through?
Well, our landscape architect's looking at that.
Okay.
Whether we can do 50% or.
We were,
Typically, it may be more of the internal courtyard that you'll sacrifice some of the plantings at that point.
Eric's gonna be upset about
The low ground covering at that point.
Honestly, we are preserving many of the existing trees on the site, and I think it's gonna look mature even when it's built. So I would have no problem going with the maximum allowable. Just put wherever it can be inconvenient for Eric to leave that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Were there areas where we're gonna hide the building because we're trying not to tear down the brick? We're taking most of the brick out, but there's some areas that doesn't make any sense, so we'll put some trees in front of it.
Yeah. That's perfect. So I would just keep that as a alternate.
Okay. SO5, I do not have a sketch on, but what we had picked up was some of the exterior benches that when the site furnishings were somewhat maybe on the higher side. I think we had an estimate of around $2,000-$2,500, and we just said, hey, you might want to pick something a little less expensive. So we just kind of threw out a number of $600.
I wasn't crazy about the idea because these are concrete, they're sculptural, they're in front of the building. But they are, sort of a place for students to sit while they're waiting to be picked up and so on. They're also, in my opinion, have a lot to do with safety in terms of
Fortification.
fortification. Somebody wants to run their car into this, where the kids are waiting and sitting around in the courtyard area and the front dining area. So, and I think architecturally, this is the front of the building. This is the one of the few areas that we're trying to make more appealing to the students in the campus.
Keep that as an alternate, you know, there may be some viable options.
So BE 01 and BE 02, you essentially did accept at the last meeting. Which is a decent amount of savings. So the drawings are proceeding based upon that. The BE 03, and again, we were throwing things out there for discussion by the group, but we felt you could probably save about $70,000 if you went with a mill finished, anodized mill finish on the exterior aluminum windows. Again, I
I can see the pain in her.
defer to the, yes, yes, which I knew, I didn't come up with it, by the way. But,
And we're evaluating that, so we haven't got a process. And
Yeah, we'll wait for your architectural opinion on that because that,
changes, but it's, you know, we're changing so many things in the building exterior.
we'll await your things on that.
so BE 04 is actually up on the screen now, and that would be make canopies 3 and 4 and add alternate or deduct alternate. It's listed here as add alternate, we was talking about deduct alternates. Those are those two canopies, it's not the main canopy over the entrance, but the ones in yellow that I have bubbled.
Yeah, I mean, functionally, you know, to me, it's more of a question of the architect, is that a look he's looking for? I know from my experience, I don't particularly care for them for a number of reasons.
You get snow on. them.
Right.
Nice.
And the pavement goes up and down in those areas, but if it's part of that architectural statement, we're trying to make that, then I would defer to the architect. I certainly leave them in base and alternate deduct, in my opinion.
I could go with the alternate approach.
Okay. Yeah, obviously, we still want to preserve the vision and obviously that front facade is critical, so.
All right, then we get into the building interior. BIO 1 was remove clear story vision, glazing and corridors. I don't know, Carson.
Yeah, so we had transom windows essentially from classrooms into corridors, so high up, so you couldn't directly see them, but get some borrowed light in the corridors. I think just from where we stood, that was an easy item. It's nice to have, not a necessity. At that point, it's something we would be willing to kind of sacrifice design wise.
Any benefit in terms of just lighting, just having natural light in there from a learning perspective or?
It's a corridor.
It's
It's not an educational
It's a
space.
corridor? Okay, yeah.
So it would be brightening up a corridor.
How high would it be?
They would have been above 6 feet,
Okay,
kind of thing.
so it wouldn't be a passive supervision kind of benefit.
No.
And it's not enhancing learning at all.
Correct.
They're not in
Yeah.
the corridor for long enough.
Yep,
We're good.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, no issue there. Great.
So BIO 2, we did identify that the wall pile and several of the spaces were on the high side. We've reduced that to $28 a square foot, which still buys you a really good. The 28 is probably a little high. So you're still getting an excellent product.
That's more really of like almost an estimate update over
Yeah.
We're losing function for.
And we have.
Yeah, we didn't offer to cut it out for you, Rusty, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
BIO 3 was change porcelain tile flooring to LVT, which is luxury vinyl tile. Again, I don't think.
We presented that during the finish, and we said that we'd already made that change, just.
And Eric,
can see.
no maintenance issues with this at all? No. All right.
I've been installing that on almost every single project I've done.
Yeah, it's nice.
Every owner's never had it.
And repair wise, if it gets gouged, it's an easy.
And it looks better than PCP. It's a better product.
Yes.
Great, perfect.
So BIL 4 was just a small change, to change from floor tile and the kiln room to an epoxy resin floor. And not a huge savings, but it's something.
I think that's cheaper.
BIO 5 was go with 2x4 acoustical ceiling tile in lieu of 2x2 in the areas where the 2x2 was identified, which is mostly offices. I think maybe kitchen spaces. What you see here is a 2x2.
So 2x4, that mimics a 2x2 as well.
And we've reduced a lot of it to the 2x4s, and there's very select areas that you are left.
Yeah,
So you guys are just gonna work through that in nine.
Yep.
So that kind of goes away. Replace, BI 6, replace drywall between ACT and metal ceilings and corridors with the ACT trim.
Yeah, so the corridors from a design standpoint will be a little bit more difficult now with lockers kind of being in there. We have to soften it down to kind of prevent any kind of storage from being up above in certain areas. So I think as we kind of briefly discussed, the corridor solution may be harder to achieve that full value. We'll do what we can to reduce that. But I think the following one below that with the classrooms and the soffits between radiant panel and classroom ceilings, 100% we can accommodate that.
So, yeah, the BIO 7, rather than build the soffit in, it would just be a piece of accent trim.
Yep.
Which QA&M.
Oh, that's nice.
BIO 8, I think we talked about, we're not gonna do that.
Unless you want to come in and do lunch duty.
No.
One thing I remember,
You're welcome to.
the one thing I remember from the elementary school was every day there was a sign hanging. Boys talk today, next day we girls talk today, everybody talked today, and one day we, nobody talked. So. They really hang that sign. They just based on tiles.
So BIO 9, we reached out to some flooring contractors and we were able to give QA&M a savings possibly on the gym floor system. It doesn't reduce the thickness of the wood. What it does is it increases the padding, reduces the plywood sandwich, and then you still have the same top layer of wood flooring.
Yeah, so ultimately, we're looking still at a maple gym floor, just a different cross section through it to try to find something a little bit more cost effective.
Does it have less resilience?
That's what I'm discussing. Find out that
I
system.
mean, this is elementary school, but you got like league games going on.
Yes, and that was discussed there. The space is used by the public and the general public quite a bit, so I think it's with you guys right now to
Yep.
really
Yep, so we're evaluating.
research it.
But I mean, ultimately, it'll come down to what do you want? Because as an elementary school, this reduction is fine. But as a community facility, you may want to not make that change. And so that's really not so much our decision, but more of a decision. that-
I don't think anybody notices that. I have both systems. Like if I put you out there, you would know.
Most longevity wise, no issue.
What's in there now?
No,
I think
what's
everybody-
more important was the thickness of the wood,
Okay.
in my opinion,
Great.
because you get those thin systems, they crack and same drop lift on it. It's a pain in the neck. I think this is perfectly fine for elementary
What's
school.
in there now?
It's a 3/4 inch maple top layer, and then it's just two substrates and then a rubber gasket that kind of is all spaced. So it's all just about ball bounce resiliency, how soft it is on your foot, kind of thing. So the system we have in place, our typical system we specify in high schools for kind of volleyball, and for the basketball programs there, they have other systems that thin out a little bit, don't have as much airspace between it kind of thing, but it still maintains the 3/4 inch hard maple and overall.
But this is better than the current. Even though we do one, it's better than the current.
Correct. I would anticipate just on that.
Most of the community uses,
Basketball.
youth basketball.
Yeah, and they will.
I mean, it's just little kids most of
Eight
it.
at the most.
Yeah. And then when they move up, they go to the high school or the school.
The only conflicting item might be a slab depth
That's what.
kind of thing for the depression, depending on how deep that system has to be. That would be my only concern there. It wouldn't,
And are they mechanically?
no, we need floating floors typically at that point.
Okay,
Vented underneath and everything, so they can breathe and expand appropriately just as moisture in the air kind of changes, so.
Right. Leaves us,
EI 10 was reduced kitchen equipment by 15%. And it was something that was thrown out there. The example I used is if you had maybe a pasta kettle, that, you know, you have in the existing school, they typically last forever. I think there's in discussions right now.
So, yeah, just an update there. I think Sydney and Kim, you both reached out to Mark, or someone reached out to Mark, because he reached out to me today. So I sent him off kind of the information that we have from a food service standpoint. I think he's gonna do just an informal inventory of available kitchen equipment that fits that mold a little bit. That could be a discussion item, doesn't have to be anything we act on, but I think it's something that just trying to do our due diligence if there are systems that could be an area where we could potentially save it.
Yeah, maybe there's a $5,000 reach in that you bought 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, and it still has a 15, 20-year life to it.
So it may not be this 125, but
Yeah.
it may be.
It could be something.
Something.
Could be
Okay,
something.
great.
And that's why we put it in the pending, so it's taken out of the calculation. Going down, FP, MEP, reduce lighting fixture budget. You probably know more about this than I do. I think we just identified, hey, take a look at some of the fixtures and maybe there's some savings.
Yeah, we were conservative with the DD estimate about spacing and everything, so we can find a little bit greater efficiency while still providing the same light levels in those areas. So we'll find a balance between there.
awesome. Quick question, what percentage of the lighting budget does the 50,000 represent?
It was, off the top of my head, I don't know.
I didn't know that. Mark.
You keep going, I think I can look.
Okay.
I can look out.
I don't know if you have the, if you need the.
I think I've got the
data. MO2, we already talked about, go on. And, you know, with that said, it probably, you know, we basically got rid of the sinks. You're still 300,000 under at this point.
But, and yeah, and we haven't really done much with the MEP. There's probably some there. There's probably still some other things we can look at. So, plus we still have the overall contingency still sitting there too. So I think we're positioned pretty well right now.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody. Nice job, guys. All right, anything else? You guys have anything back there that we're missing or need to bring up?
Really, I was just gonna say hi to everybody, I'm gonna be here.
Instead of
And I'm on.
guys, no, sit with us next time.
We didn't give him much room this time.
No, we didn't.
Thanks,
Great.
Norm.
And a couple of things, we've been busy attending meetings here and there about your roof, about your value management. Don't call it value engineering, value management. And have had some catch-up meetings, with a few of you on the committee. I think the committee has decided to have us take over management of the project budget. So that'll alleviate that responsibility from Rusty and O&G. However, I'm gonna keep the same format that O&G has in their DE estimate, so there's continuity.
I want to make some changes before.
No.
Couple numbers in here, I still. do.
There you go. And then as part of that, I'm also gonna start tracking your balances. Okay, so as you receive and approve invoices, I'll be tracking those. And I'll also keep track of at any given time when we decide, oh, we've got too much money in this category, let's move some of it to another category where we need it. I keep track of those moves, so we never forget when and why we did that. So, hoping for next meeting to have something to present to you. And then moving forward, we'll probably meet with folks about bonding costs and those get adjusted. And as we find out a decision on your building permit and stuff like that. So it'll kind of be going on behind the scenes all the time. And I'll present you guys with an update monthly.
Great.
Thank you.
We do have our next board meeting next Wednesday, so I don't know if that's on your calendar yet, but it's next Wednesday at 6, but I'll also send you an email.
Thank you, that'd be great.
And let me follow that up.
Board meeting at 2.
In terms of, the next scheduled meeting for this, which would be the third Wednesday, do we have anything that we think would be pressing to discuss then? Because it looks like our milestones are all gonna be after that, and sure, you probably have better things to do than hang out here. Does it make sense for us to, cancel the next scheduled meeting?
Yeah.
Does it impact any?
Let's hear from Owen G and Rusty and Carson. Is there anything we would be missing or would put us behind if we didn't do it?
I don't know if we have some invoices, et cetera, and so that might be one.
Leave it pending for now.
Sorry?
Leave it pending for now.
Maybe we can just do a virtual,
So, or I think,
Say,
we can cancel it a virtual.
so just,
Yeah,
just a
don't
quick
take it
clarification,
off.
looking ahead at the schedule
take
for
it
the
off.
PCR and signatures and approvals. So as long as there's some sort of scheduled meeting, probably right after the Thanksgiving holiday, because that first week, so the first through the fifth, we'd probably need a meeting in order to get signatures on any of the drawings that would be required for the PCR review on the tenth.
That'd be a first one. First Wednesday.
So I think that's an appropriate shift to just, that would be the major milestone.
We'd be the third scheduled for already.
And that would also,
Yep.
we would need that from the Board of Education as well, right? Their signatures.
Great.
That would
Right, maybe you
be,
We could, it could be a joint meeting if that is,
or the 10th is the next board. meeting after
the tenth
that.
is our PCR. meeting,
Yeah, so you
we
can't do that.
can't do it.
Okay, have to be
Maybe
that.
after that.
Okay,
So it's that first Wednesday, Kim?
sorry,
That's the first Wednesday, that we-
the third, yep.
or-
Yep.
If you need the board, we'll schedule a meeting.
Mark, confirm your own third, I think it's Arizona.
On the third, will I be here?
Okay, you're not going to say. I guess those are the Bealers. Lucky you, you're on the Bealers.
You could be on the A list here.
So cancel the next meeting and schedule the next one after that, for the first week, this Wednesday.
So we have the first ones, they already scheduled, the
Alright, good.
third.
And we'll just cancel
Uh,
the next scheduled meeting.
And shall we just wait,
Wait, yeah, we'll wait a week.
Make sure nothing pops up.
Right.
okay.
But
I also had an ad services letter that I sent out.
Oh, yeah.
oh, yes.
So we have,
Do we need to approve, what do we need to do to?
I gotta
approve
admit,
that?
I don't know what to do with that. So is that we're just approving that as an additional service that was not in your contract?
right.
Okay,
So some of it, if you recall, there was the hazmat where it was a separate line item, but it came back to us. You know, we took it on, so that's a big chunk of it. And then the other is for the site of the septic and water system, our contract was to investigate to determine what needs to be done. And so then that was another part of it. And then the final one had to do with the phase one, where we ended up doing, the scope just
that's right.
ballooned. And so
Okay.
I got some proposals and
Figure out what we need to do, whether or not we need to approve.
So is that,
you would need to.
that's an invoice? Or that's,
No, that's a
change order.
proposal.
That's
to
a
change,
proposal.
Because you have to approve it before we can invoice it.
okay. So do you need this committee to do that, or can I do that administratively?
I think you want the committee to approve.
We do, okay. Okay, so you wanna,
If
I
we
did
had-
send it out.
Well,
to
yeah,
everybody,
we'll
but-
send it out, but we'll see if we have invoices, if it's, it'd be rough to have it just for that, because we can always discuss it and approve it at the meeting after that, but
If
if
there's
we have
no
invoices.
objections to it, I don't, I just didn't know if you had any questions, I think beyond
No,
that.
I didn't see anything wrong with it.
Okay.
I would just leave it with, I would leave it with Kim.
Yeah.
I think if we're okay with it and just,
Okay,
because then Wind invoices would have to come to us anyway, right?
Correct. Okay, okay. And then Howard, I have both invoices tonight, to prove- not that I don't want to extend our fund too much longer, but. You had asked for a printout, it was easier to see what I was saying, so here's the invoices we're approving tonight. And Marnie, I will send this to you electronically.
Thank you.
And I know you have all the other ones, but I'll go back and put invoice numbers and stuff on it. Okay, all right. So we have quite a few this time, and again, I'll go through, because you have it in front of you, just quick, the name, invoice number, the amount, what it is, and then we'll motion at the end, okay, to approve it. So Salis O'Brien, 612-503-933, 2,407.50. That is the first billing for October for commissioning services, in the design phase. Shipman and Goodwin, 668-997. This is the one Dave and I had a lot of fun on. He's now listing 18,588.50. Legal services for CMR, OPM, and commissioning agent. Shipman and Goodwin, 671046, 3,657.50. Again, more legal services for the CMR contract. K&J Tree Service, 19383, 2,790. That was tree pruning and brush removal. I want to say it was at Lyman. I didn't write that there, but I'm
One was Lyman, one was Strong.
Lyman is, okay, thank you. Tri-State Materials Testing, TSMT 16321, 1,493.75. Lyman School Soil Inspections. Tri-State Materials Testing, TSMT 16382, $1,960. Again, Lyman Foundation, helical pile observation at Lyman. Tri-State Materials Testing, TSMT 16459, $800. Lyman School Reinforced Steel, pre-placement and inspection of concrete testing and field inspection. I'm sure that makes sense to you guys. DACO 25095, 19,402.80. That's for our swing space, the additional buses we needed for swing space. 1-800-PACRA, 012-87917, $738.98. That's for 2 portable storage units at Lyman for the month of August. 1-800-PACRA, 012-87920, $738.98. That's for the other 2 for August. They were just different invoice numbers. Again, 1-800-PACRA, 012-87941, $268.99. That was for September. We had 1 storage unit remaining, had 3 taken away, 1 remaining for September. They're gone now. Cube Smart, 125185, $272. That's our recurring charge on our storage unit in Middletown. The next 3 are bond costs, financing costs. Shipman and Goodwin, 670968, $20,000 for bond counsel services. And there is more coming on that one. Moody's PO 514512, $8,500. That is for their fee for their bond rating services. And Munistat BAN 2025, $10,000. That's the municipal advisory services again for the bond issuance. All that's not negotiable, that you have to do.
Question, should the bonding cost be the full board rather than the building committee?
Should the bonding cost, you mean approval of the payment of it?
Yeah.
I don't think so, but if you.
I don't think they're
Part
pretty
of the
different,
project.
right?
Yeah, it's part of the project, so.
The bonding is for the project.
Project cost.
Right.
We could share it if you want to.
Huh?
We could share it.
Oh, we'll share that.
The cost, yeah.
I don't know.
So our first bands issue was, 38.5. So that's why I discussed with Mark that we were able to move some of those bond fees down already in the estimate, so.
I'll, make a motion to approve the invoices as presented with a total of 91,619.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? We have a second. We have a motion on the floor, $91,618 for all the invoices it has, as described. All in favor, any discussion?
Discussion, I really like this. Thank you.
Oh, sure. Thanks.
Aye.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
You opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else related to memorial renovation extension? Any members of the public?
We have nobody on.
Okay, and there's the number of public here, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Thank you.
Hi.
Aye.
So off the record, please,
We're not done yet.
okay.